Do you want to get going with the what do you think,
Yeah,
Liz?
yeah, let's get going. And Sabine, I put that link in the chat for you.
Yes, thank you. I got it. I appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So if you click on the link for the readings, scroll all the way down. Tonight we are talking about tolerating. Mm-hmm. So tolerating, and this is by our one and only Janice Graham. Okay, so without realizing the effect of fear and anxiety, we learned early on to tolerate the experience of fear and anxiety. Excuse me. Therefore, not even recognizing it's happening because we are in tolerance. Tolerating is simply ignoring any warning signs, sensations, information messengers telling us that we are in danger, in a compromised situation. We are offline. When we are in tolerance and we tolerate, we are chipping away at our mental health, our well being, and our safety. Tolerating is a disordered process that interferes with and keeps us from safety, security, and trusting ourselves because tolerance is a way of shutting down, numbing out, and ignoring important sensory input. It is accepting abuse, neglect, and it is accepting that it's better than it was. Tolerating is a process of comparing bad to less bad, but still being caught in very disordered and destructive situations. When growing up, we had no choice but to tolerate abuse, so it followed us. We experienced tolerating as an acceptable way to live. In fact, it is intolerable to tolerate. We have a filter and a lens that comes from childhood that looks at things as being less intolerable because they feel comfortable.
Yeah, I besides, you know, jotting it down, I just feel like it's something that's very enmeshed in the codependent process that we learn very early on to tolerate, acquiesce, to accommodate, to all of these things that really are intolerable, but we're so caught in it, we don't even know how to distinguish what's intolerable and not, and that's really what I want us to talk about tonight is how many people as well as yourselves that tolerate. I mean, even our negative voice we tolerate. There's so many things that are intolerable that we have learned to accept and continue. Does that make sense, you guys? Yeah, it's a very important concept, as well as a process, because it's like if we learn and are aware of what's happening to us, we can discern and get out of intolerable situations, and that's the caveat right now. Like, how do we do that? How do you even know you're in an intolerable situation? And I'm asking that as a question, or at least something to ponder.
I think that's a great question. I really like this topic because I think it's hard to recognize because when we're in these like maybe disordered or whatever you want to call it, uh, intolerable circumstances, that's what is like normal to us because that's it's what we learned,
Mhm.
right? So for me, I've struggled with depression. It's like a similar thing where that becomes the norm, is my depression is just uh that I'm used to it. That's just how
Right.
things are. And but it's really not serving me, the behaviors and what have you. Um I don't know. I like this a lot because I think that's one of the reasons why like having groups like this or having therapists is so important. It's because they can say, hey, that's, they can help us. We all help each other here,
Yes. Mhm.
we help each other see ourselves. So I really love this reading, Janice. So thank you.
Yeah, I feel like just if you look, there's not a person on the Zoom tonight that doesn't tolerate Wawa. You know, we're not aware of it sometimes, but we still, because we're not aware, are tolerating it and actually feeding it and nurturing it. And I just want to say the Wawa is actually it's like a trauma that we're re-traumatizing ourselves with the Wawa. You guys know that? It's like, oh, you're not good enough. I mean, it's all this traumatic conversation and trauma responses that are going on that are actually, hopefully, we can, after this conversation, know that it's intolerable and how to be more mindful of it and to manage it differently and to shift it. Is any of this making sense? I can't tell you guys. Okay, good. Shaking your heads, good. You know, what's coming up for you guys, each of you or any of you? Hi, Julianne.
Oh, you're,
Um,
oh, there you are. Okay.
am I unmuted? Okay. Um, what you just said, Janice, about the re-traumatizing ourselves with that inner critic voice. Like now that I've been doing this work and being a little bit more mindful ever so incrementally, I was talking to my mom the other day and I'm just like, Mom, like just saw it in her and I could just like feel it in my body. And the amount of tolerating that just our parents are like the lineage, but what we've tolerated, I think, is just like insane. And um yeah, when you said that, I was like, it just sparked that conversation I had with my mom and like my gratitude for this practice and this work. So
Mhm. Yeah, thank you for that. Because we don't really look at the Wawas being traumatic because it's so familiar. Do you know what I mean? But it's constant input, you know, and we tolerate it because we don't know that we're doing it. That's what I meant by not being aware. Or we might be a little bit aware of the Wawa, but it's so familiar. It's like we're accustomed to it. It's a friend almost, it's a part. It's like, blah, you know. Does
Yep.
anybody else want to share? Go ahead.
Is somebody else going? Okay, me. Okay. Yeah, so um that kind of brought up what I when was it? Tuesday. Tuesday. So when I was in my addiction and um my alcoholism, I tolerated a lot more, right? And I would always push it down. That's kind of like what we're talking about, right? Like push it like okay, well let me keep going. I think I'm understanding it. I had to read it a second time to kind of soak it in. But I tolerated a lot of stuff as far as like, when uh Mike got married and his wife started doing all this stuff with Georgia, which it was good, but it ultimately was taking away from our time together and our communication, and I tolerated it, right? Because I feel like, because I've been really reflecting on this a lot lately. I feel like because maybe I didn't feel like I was good enough, right? And like I wasn't stable enough. I wasn't, all the things enough for Georgia or what was expected of me. And on Sunday, I got hit with some PTSD, which has been actually showing up in my body, which I'm glad to be able to like identify that over the last few days. And I'm relating it to like, okay, so I talked to Georgia. She was out of town. This last weekend, we weren't like, for some reason, I couldn't get in contact with her. And we normally talk every morning and every night. And then when we finally talked on Sunday, she was a little upset, but then she had mentioned she couldn't use a blow dryer because her friend's mom was in the hotel. And for me, I was like, okay, so like now is another woman coming in and like taking away from my time, right? But then I just pushed it down because I was like, well, I'm just overreacting, or maybe I'm just like thinking about like what's happened in the past. Um, and then Tuesday, Georgia really opened up to me and shared quite a bit of stuff. And I guess I'm in a position to where I kind of feel like I have to tolerate it because she trusted me in opening up. She doesn't want me to talk to her dad about it. And a big part of it is where I feel like Georgia can be unsafe. And she said this I don't know if they're dating, if they're just friends, whatever, it doesn't even matter. Not my thing. But when Georgia's telling me that her friend and her friend's brother have to call her dad a different name, other that way her friend's mom, ex-boyfriend or husband wouldn't be able to look up his name online because then he'd go crazy and like come over to their house. Right.
Right.
And I'm like, so I,
Okay, go ahead.
oh, no, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, what is the core of all that? Not the detail, but what
Oh,
shift
the
are
court.
you struggling with as far,
I think, I think it's just like what I've gone through in the past.
right?
I think it's because I'm also afraid of, um, I just feel like I can't express myself to Mike because it's ultimately she's afraid she'll get in trouble and then I'll lose George's trust is what it
Right.
is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, and
Is that on the line?
yeah, well, part of what we're talking about is that um tolerating, you're really trying to protect your daughter. That's what I
Uh-huh.
heard from what you just said. And that's that's um a positive thing in the sense that it's helpful, and but tolerating's more like you putting up with abuse from somebody, or you abusing yourself and tolerating it, or the negative self-talk that we tolerate, you know what I mean?
Right. Okay. So I was able to like steer my way away from that during that. So like I was driving and I did start getting the wants and the I'm not good enough. Oh, this is gonna
Right,
happen again. And um and just like so many thoughts all at one time. I can't even really say them
right,
all, but it was really great because I was able to act and I mean I prayed
right,
and then I started giving myself affirmation.
right.
No,
And
I'm doing good. I am a good mother. Nothing's gonna take that away. And it was like it really did change my perspective pretty quickly. When in the past I would like really stew in that.
right. So that the good thing is you're not.
So
So just see, even sometimes when we get caught in a story, we're
mhm.
re-traumatizing ourselves. So be mindful of how that can,
Yeah, okay.
just see what I'm saying, instead of just saying, I'm struggling, I'm just not
Yeah,
telling you what to say, but and saying I'm doing a really good job, you know, I'm here for my daughter,
Yeah.
I'm me. You know, because a lot of us get caught in the story and the details, which is really traumatizing us too. Because then we're reliving it.
Okay. So, oh, that totally makes a lot of sense. Okay. So like choosing our words wisely and
Yes.
like kind of in a way like fact checking with the story without
Yeah,
the
or just
details.
don't get caught in the story, get caught in the feeling of what you recognize and what you're doing
Mm,
to remedy it or manage it better, or the positive part of it.
okay. Yeah, that makes total sense. Awesome.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm gonna keep, yeah, that's great.
All right. Thank you, honey. Um, anybody else want to speak to the reading or?
I would like to speak to the reading.
Yes, please, Sabine.
Um, and I'm sorry about I was like running around earlier. Anyways, I I guess when I think of the reading, um, I it's very like surface level for me, just because since rehab, I I don't really tolerate a lot, especially things that don't bring me joy or whatever. But the only part that I can't control in that aspect is like work, my job. I absolutely I don't like to use the word hate, so I'm not going to use it. I really don't like my job, and it's mainly because I'm just naturally a hard worker. I like to work hard, and I think that's part of that is my people pleasing. I want everyone to be happy with what I do and my how I work and whatever. And it's hard when I see myself and a handful of other people working hard and then the rest of the crew, which we're getting paid the same, they're all, slacking off or on their phone or taking 15-minute bathroom breaks every 20 minutes. It's just so frustrating and there's no consequences. And so it makes me not want to work as hard. Makes me just want to float by like the rest of them because we're all getting paid the same, and there's no incentive for anyone else to work hard. I don't know. It's just so frustrating. And yeah.
Let me ask you a question. So when you work hard, um, does it serve you? Like, are you benefiting from it in spite of whoever else is around you? You know what I'm asking, Sabine? It's like,
Yeah. Um, Personally, yes. I like to get my things done. I like when I get a lot done. But there is a part of me that wishes or I guess would hope for like acknowledgement.
right,
And I'm not saying that the only reason I'm doing a good job is because I want to be told I'm doing a good job, but I mean it's nice. And it would also be nice to see, not that I want other people to get in trouble, but like there's no consequences. There's no, you
Mm.
know, it's just yeah.
I totally get it. And the reason I'm just kind of questioning you is that it's like, and this is just my belief anyway, I'll qualify it, but if I work according to my own self and intrinsically am getting benefit from that,
Yeah. I'm
then
honestly like, yeah, it's nice to get stuff. I mean, I'm working at Target. It's not giving me anything.
right,
I'm not fulfilled. It's not my passion. And
right, gotcha.
yeah, yeah.
So, you know, right there tells me a lot,
hmm
you
Yeah.
know.
I've definitely been looking for other things, but I don't want to just switch jobs to be miserable at the next one. So I'm really trying to find a good one. And
Right,
also thing in my wheelhouse, what I'm going to school for. So, and that's also tough to get a job without actual degree, but
right.
I'm trying. Yeah.
I know that about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that, you know, because it's like we all um it's what I'm gonna say is ideal, not what we can all do. But if something's not serving you, it's really important, whatever it is, whether it's a job or relationship, is to do something about it.
Yeah.
Not just tolerate it, because that's gonna take you down, anybody in any fashion. No matter
Yeah.
what it is that, that you're tolerating.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean quit necessarily, but certainly, talk about not you and your job, but talk
Yeah.
about it with your relationships or whatever's going on to try to make it more agreeable or more suitable.
Yeah. I've definitely had conversations with my higher ups because I mean, my energy is pretty easy to read. And I think they've picked up on that, and which I love my higher ups. They're awesome. They talk to me if they are concerned or whatever. And
Right.
I've definitely shared with them that I'm completely miserable. And that,
Right.
so I've been communicating with them, and they've been super, what is that word? It doesn't matter, but they've been great. It's just the other things. But yeah, I'm looking, and I'll find something, and it'll be
Well, that you won't have to tolerate so much.
exactly. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Because those are the examples, we get caught in a wheel and we just keep doing it over and over and over again, that is really creating misery. So just that's the point of the reading. Like, how do you be mindful enough to recognize you're in that hamster wheel of, that's painful and stressful,
Mhm.
right? Did anybody else want to share?
I can share.
Go, Cindy.
Thank you so much for this topic. Just listening to everyone and then, kind of pondering it, it allowed me to just really kind of make sense of it for me. And so thank you so much. So I think what I wanted to say is, in the past, if I were in, just a real depressed state, PTSD state, like that state of hypervigilance, just monitoring, hypervigilance type stuff. I don't think tolerate would have been to tolerate. That word wouldn't have fit for me during those experiences, because in those moments, I didn't have an ability to make a choice. And so to me, when I think of to tolerate something, I think that there's some sort of agency, there's some sort of awareness and then choice that I'm making to tolerate something. And so I think I was so desensitized, or maybe I won't even go there, but I'll just say that it felt like I didn't even have a choice.
Uh-huh.
And now, after doing a lot of work over several months now, just generally speaking, I feel like I have a little bit of a better grasp. I have a little bit of a better feeling, a belief that I can handle things, that wise self connection. And so just yesterday, I had an experience that came up where I was triggered. And because I have developed that, little bit of a grasp of the wise self, I wouldn't have been able to do this just prior to a few months ago. But because I do have a little bit of that connection with the wise self, I recognized things that were happening in my body, which I've never done before. And I noticed that my pulse increased. I noticed that in the moment, in a conversation that was so triggering, I felt completely confused and bewildered to the point that I was tongue-tied, brain fog. I felt like that freeze intermittently with flight. And and so, because I had that sense of security in myself growing, I sat with it. I removed myself from the person I was being triggered by. And I know that's a fortunate thing for me. Not everyone's able to do that. But I sat with it alone. I talked with a very, very, very supportive person. And I thought to myself, I am not in the past. This is not the past. Those things that are happening right now are not the exact things that happened to me, that caused my trauma. Um, so, and I can only control myself. There are some things I just have to let be. And because I am safe with my wise self, that's okay. And so that was discomfort. And what I realize now is that that's what I have to tolerate. Now that I have a better connection with a connection with my wise self, what I now have to tolerate is I have to tolerate the discomfort of that state of being triggered.
Mhm.
And the only way I can do that is because I do have that connection now with that wise self and can recognize some of those things, and I can try to do what I just said. But
Can I just add something
Yeah.
to what
Yeah.
you just said, which
Yeah.
it's like all of us have issues around discomfort. There's no question.
Yeah.
So the thing I was going to say that maybe is a little bit of a reframe is you have to be able to manage it till you get through it,
Yeah.
or you can tolerate it and stay in it. I didn't know which direction you were talking about. To me, when I'm in discomfort, I know I'll pass through it. So I'm able to be with it.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. That's another element of
Yeah.
being able to sit through it for me, is now that I have had some experiences where I have had come out on the other side, and I'm still here, I'm still surviving.
Exactly.
And, what a difference a day makes, right? A good night's sleep. And then I wake up and I have a different perspective sometimes. And so that has given me confidence as well that it will be okay if I
It is
sit with
okay.
this
Yeah.
discomfort. Yeah, I
Yeah.
will make it through this discomfort. No
Yeah. I
matter
love
how
that.
painful it is.
Another thing I was going to say earlier is about tolerance and tolerating. It doesn't necessarily mean jump ship. It means how do you manage and create something that's more tolerable? You know
Mm,
what I'm saying? It doesn't always equate till
mm,
this is unbearable, I have to get out of it. It's how do you manage it and do your best. Let's say you can't get out of it. You do your
right,
best to make it more tolerable just
right.
because you realize it. It's not a black and white
Yeah,
um, process.
yeah. And we should all be so lucky at some point to be able to surround ourselves with people who don't trigger us or events that don't trigger us. But
Right.
we aren't always able to do that.
Right.
But that is helpful to do
Yeah.
that.
Well, thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. 'Cause it's a very important process and concept that we're talking about, and it isn't like tolerate or don't tolerate, but be aware that something's intolerable and something needs to shift, whatever that is,
Yeah.
you know? And sometimes it does mean get out of it, but it doesn't mean you jump. It's like you move toward taking care of yourself while you're in the process. But, I know a lot of you have been in intolerable situations and haven't known even that it's as bad as it is, or as you're suffering as much as you do. And that's kind of why this topic's important, to really start discerning the situation and how to manage it and how can you manage it, but also know that it's yucky, right? My favorite word. Psychology word, yucky.
Very clinical.
It is so clinical. It's in the book, I think, the DSM. So, Kristen, did you want to share? You don't have to. I'm not calling you out. I just. Okay.
Okay, I was having trouble with my audio. Sure, I'll share. I was thinking about this one a lot. I read it this morning when the email came out. And realized that I have been tolerating all my life, especially with my mother. And that has carried on into many areas of my life. Sorry, my dog's interrupting here. And I've done it with my ex-husband, especially when it came to disagreements with with my child or whatever. No. Okay, come here. And then I was thinking about my depression, which I realize I tolerate, which is not beneficial to me. Mine came as a total shock to me. It must have been building for years, but I had no clue. I literally had a breakdown. And it seemed like overnight. One day I was doing fine, and the next day I couldn't get off the couch. And I couldn't do anything. And that's what landed me in DKS, was the fact that, please, was the fact that I couldn't do anything. And I realized lately I've been kind of sinking back into that, and I tolerate it. And to me, it's an intolerable situation. Staying in bed or getting out of bed, but then going and lying down on the bed and just sitting there. Sorry, you'll have to excuse him.
That's fine.
And even now starting to count the hours until it's time to go to bed. And so, dude, and I tolerate it, and it's not tolerable to me. This is not who I was before I broke down. I was a person that went 24/7. I didn't sit down at all, which I'm sure was part of the breakdown as well. But I tolerate my kids sometimes. I love my kids, but sometimes they'll say something, and instead of saying back what I would want to say, I don't. I keep it in for fear of causing any disturbance. Like I was supposed to go to San Diego actually today, and my son called me up a couple days ago to tell me he just wasn't in the right headspace. Can I come another time? Which I wanted to say something about. We planned this months ago. I've already bought the tickets. So instead I just said, sure. And I rearranged the time, and I paid another $150 so I can fly down there in a week and a half instead. But I didn't say what I would want to say. But I guess with me, I'm kind of going in two different directions, one with my kids and one with my depression. It's my depression that I think I tolerate way too much. And it's getting me nowhere. It's getting me in a bind. And my kids think I'm starting to slip back again to where I was, which is pissing them off, honestly. They were super supportive. Don't get me wrong. You couldn't ask for more support than I got from my kids. They were incredible, but they don't want to go through that again. I don't want to go through that again, but I just keep tolerating each day. And each night I said, okay, I'm going to do something different tomorrow. I'll get up and I'll at least do 2 hours of this or whatever. And then each day I find a way to ignore that. Well, it's kind of late already, whatever. So I tolerate my depression more than anything else. After tolerating people, I've done that all my life, but this is different than tolerating people. It's more it's more severe in many ways, I guess. Although tolerating my mom was pretty severe.
Yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate that. It's like that what we're talking about is it's not a quick fix,
Right.
it's like, okay, I now know that I tolerate my depression. It's like you already are working on it, but it is important to put that in a context that it is intolerable, and that could be more of the impetus or the motivation, to get up and come into your office where you're sitting or wherever you are.
Right.
Like,
Right.
get away from the bed, shut the bedroom door, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Agree.
little steps and stages. I'm not trying to tell you how to manage your
Yeah.
depression, just saying ways that might be helpful, you know, because
Yeah.
it's easy because we justify and rationalize. It's part of the disordered process.
That's what I'm doing.
And it's so pervasive. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't want to. And also, we talked about the voice of the depression
Yeah.
attaches to the justifying. It's like, oh, who cares? It's not going to hurt if I lay down for another hour. It's
Yeah.
like, it's disordered,
Yes.
and that's the part all of us do at different degrees about different things. And it's like, that's the important part, to manage that, like to counter it,
Yeah.
shift it, focus on it, and putting strategies in place, because if we don't, we justify and rationalize being in bed all day or whatever version
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
You know,
I do have a question. Like I said, I've been tolerating since I was, as far as I can remember anything. Learned it with my mom, and it's carried through my entire life. How do you get out of that cycle
how to get out of the cycle.
of tolerating people that were like my mom? I find I do it with a lot of people.
Right. Well, that's a good question. First of all, do you set boundaries?
Probably not well.
Okay.
I do them in my head, but then when it comes to doing it,
Because
I don't.
eventually, if you just look at it simply for each of you, because boundaries are not about the woman or your mom or the man or
Right.
whomever to do anything different. It's saying, I'm not going to go past this point because it becomes intolerable. So I'm going to extricate myself, remove myself, or hang up, or give
Okay.
myself space.
Okay.
That's what a boundary really is, because a lot of us get confused and think we're setting boundaries for people to change their behavior. They're not going to.
Right.
But we can learn how to manage what we want or don't want.
Okay.
And that's the choice. That's a
Okay.
healthy choice to say it's becoming intolerable,
Right.
and that's a good signal. It's like, okay, that's your body's telling you, your mind's telling you it's time to do something different,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Thank
the
you.
people pleaser part of us doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but we're
Yes.
hurting us.
Yes. That's a big part of it, is I'm worried about.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we sacrifice
Yes.
for somebody's feelings that we don't even know if it is going to hurt them. And if it hurts their feelings, it's not going to last very long.
Right.
We keep re-injuring ourselves by that philosophy or that mindset.
Right. No, you're totally right. I see that.
Right.
And I just want to add on to that. First of all, this whole conversation resonates so much with me and my challenges with depression and people pleasing and all of the things that you just said, Kristen. But yeah, I like what you said, Janice, about boundaries too, because they're all about taking care of ourselves and less about the other person's behavior. And when I think about how I manage my depression, it's like setting boundaries for myself. Like, what is really serving me? I'm going to close the door and not go into that bedroom because that calls me too, you know? I'm not gonna, and even the voice of, oh, I earned it. I worked hard today, or or oh, just one more 30 more minutes, what's that gonna hurt, But me, it's because it's like 30 more minutes of me not showing up for myself, saying no, like get up and be in life, be in my life. And but yeah, so I kind of think of boundaries in that way too, like uh setting boundaries for myself with my depression or that depressive voice, and then also with other people, of course. But yeah, I don't know. Thank you for that conversation. That really was great.
Yeah, that just shows how many ways we are self-sabotaged by tolerating.
Oh my God. Yeah, because for me, it's like the depression is the norm. So it's hard to break that. Well, I don't know. I don't want to say hard, but it takes effort for sure to break it, but it's like for my own well-being, and I'm worth it.
Right, and it really takes a lot of effort to put up with the depression and all the other
Yeah.
things that come with it. It takes more effort to do that because you're
Yeah.
struggling to survive instead of living.
Yeah. Yes.
I can add just a little bit to that, Liz. I think what helped me was just something that I read one time. I realized that subconsciously or whatever, I was waiting for other people to do something so that I would feel better. Whether it was that they were going to love me, my partner, or that my son was not going to be in a bad mood when he talked to me, or whatever it was, then I'll feel better. So everything was external as far as what was going to help me feel better. And when the pain got so intolerable, I finally realized that I'm the only one who can make me feel better. And I'm the only one who can change me. And so that's one of the things that was sort of a turning point for me when I really, really, really understood that and accepted it, because I did not want to accept it because it's hard work. And it seems like it's nearly impossible for me to change myself or to do what I need to do to feel better. I don't know how to do it, all these things. But the reality is that no one else is going to be able to do this for me. I had to do it for myself.
And then you have an opportunity to be in joy and abundance.
Oh my gosh, just glimpsing that other side that I've glimpsed is
Right?
unbelievable.
I know, because
There
we're
is a
waiting.
rainbow on the other side, you guys.
Yeah, there
There's
is
a
joy.
rainbow on the other side. Yep.
It's like we're waiting for it to happen instead of making it happen, it's like,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, I love that. Well, it feels like that was hopefully everybody got something out of it. I think just we could talk about it again because it's a pretty big topic. But at least we kind of broke through a little bit. Do you feel complete, you guys? Thumbs up?
I do
All
want
right.
to say one thing before we go is that I am doing an expressive writing group this Saturday, and there are a few spots left. I'm gonna put the link in here in the chat. And I would love for you to join. So there it is. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, it's fun. 9 a.m. on Saturday. And anyway, thank you, Janice, for letting me do that.
All right. Of course. Bye, you guys.
Bye.